Welcome to day 7 of the Python Programming Challenge. I should have like a theme song. My name is Familaya from Bed Media, and today is day 7. Have you ever wondered how to use a graphic user interface? Me too. Let me show you how you can do it. To the screen. The screen is this way. 7 of the Python Programming Challenge. Today I will be talking about GUI using Tkinter. As we go on in these days, there would be videos using the graphic user interface. That's what GUI is. So I decided that for day 7, let me talk about the graphic user interface. So when you see it in coming days, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let me show you what we hope to achieve. So when you run this is a graphic user interface that allows the user to enter their data to it, and then it does something. So now let's start from the beginning. So what is Tkinter, you might ask? It is a standard Python library that allows you to create simple GUIs, and it provides you with set of tools that you can use to create the window, create the button, label, text, and so on. Since it's included in most of Python installation, you don't need to install any external libraries. All you just have to do is to import Tkinter. So you import Tkinter as TK. So we'll be using the word TK in most of our code going forward. So it uses the object-oriented programming, and each GUI application begins with creating a main window. So that's what we'll do next, creating a main window. You do not need to memorize all this information, and are readily available on the internet. So one thing that you would want to have is the root, that is your tk. So you have to set your title if you want to have a title for the window, and also the window size. And to run the loop, you need root.main loop. So when we run this, I would have a title, and then my window would be this size, and that's basically what we want. So you run this, and this is what we have, a simple GUI that you can make bigger if you so choose. And then it will continue to run until you close the window. This is how you create a blank simple GUI, by just using this, by creating the main window, setting the title, which is simple GUI that we put here, and then the window size, and then you always have to run the loop to start the GUI event. So now this is basically useless, but now we have to fill in it with data. So let's do that next. In the Jupyter Notebook, I provided explanation for every variable that we use. So this creates the main window. This is for title. This is for the width and the height. And this starts the event loop. So let's add some widgets to the GUI. So first thing that I would like to add is a label. So I'm still going to bring this here and then add the label in between. So to create a label, or to add a label to your graphic user interface, this is the code that is needed. So our tk.label, this creates the label widget, and the text argument specifies what the label will display. So I want it to display welcome to GUI. And the label.pack method, this is very important. It's used to place the label on the window. So you can have multiple labels depending on what your graphic user interface is doing. Because I remember I created a GUI for a simple calculator. You can also check that video and on YouTube. So this label just adds welcome to GUI. So when I run this, you see, this is just adding a simple label. This is how you add a label. You have your tk.label. TK is what we imported from import Tkinter at TK. And then your label, and then root, and then you have to specify with the text what you want the label to be, and label.pack to add the widget to the window. So next thing that you might be wondering is, how do you add the button? Because you need to be able to add buttons to the label if you want. So still, I'm going to be reusing this and then just adding the button to it. So button, remember we use TK label to add the label. To add a button, we'll use TK button. So this is a TK button, and then we want the text for the button. And then when the user click on the button, do you want it to do something, or do you just want it to be a button that does nothing? So if you want it to do something, you can easily just like create a function. For example, maybe I want that when the user clicks on the button, I want to print that the button has been clicked. So then I would have like a function here that on button click, I want to print that the button has been clicked. And then I would call my function in my button. So the command that I want when the button is clicked, I want it to run this function that the button has been clicked. So when I run this, it said this is my label that I created with TK label, and this is my button that I created with TK button. And when I click on it, it prints button clicked. Again, to create a label, TK label, the root is what we are calling here tk.tk, and then the text, what you want to display. And then for button, since button is not like a label where there's no command, for the button, I want there to be a command, and then I will define my function that I want when you click on the button. I want you to print out button click, which is what it did there. So this is a simple function that runs when the button is clicked, and button.pack adds it to the window. The same way we have label.pack, we have button.pack. So now what if I want to have like a text field? I want to have a field where the user can enter information. I want to get information from the user. So still the same code, we're building on this code. So let's create an entry widget. So under my button, I'm going to put, so this is going to take the entry from the user. But then what do I want to now do with whatever the user enters? Let me run this so you see how it looks like with just the text field. Yes, see? So now we've created a title, a button, and a text field. But then not the text is not displayed here because I didn't put a function for it to be. So it's just like a text box that does nothing. But then if I want to get whatever information has been entered into in my GUI, if I want to get it in my function, there's a way that you can fetch the text. Okay, so this is the function to get the text from the user. You know, we had a function when the user clicked the button. So this is the function to retrieve the text. So then, and then you now have like a fetch button. So when the user enters the text, there's a button you can click. So it fetches the text that was entered. So when I run this, see, let me put for example, and then get text. Then it prints out that this is the entered text from the GUI. So it's also similar. So we have button to add button. We have entry to be able to collect a user entry, and then to be able to fetch the user entry, we have fetch button. And then this is calling our function. Anytime you want it to do something, you have to add the command and then your function name. So it can call your function and then get whatever you want the function to do. So explanation, the entry, it creates an entry widget, and the entry.get, it retrieves the text entered in the entry widget, and then the get entry text function is a function to print the text entered in the entry field. And then the fetch button is a button that triggers this. So this button triggers this, and then this button, the click me button, triggers this on button click function. Now let's put it all together. So I want, like I showed at the beginning, I want to be able to enter my name or enter a message and be able to print out the information. So first thing is I want to be able to get the text from the field. So that's the first thing. Let's write my function. So I want to be able to get the name of the user, and I want to print out hello in the label. So I want to get the name and I want to print. So now I'm not printing into this. I want to print on the GUI the name of the user and an hello message. So then let's create my window. To create my window and my window title. This is very important if you want to create a GUI. You have to be able to create your window and then the title. The title I feel is not so important. And then the size. What size do you want your GUI to be? And then let's add a label. I want to add a label to the window. So I want the user to be able to enter their name. And then let's add a text entry. I want to be able to get the entry from the user. And then I want to have a button. So when they enter their name, a button like a submit button. So this is just like a form, a submit button. So when they enter their name and then the submit button, and then I want to start the loop. I know you're wondering that what is padding doing here. Remember when we created this GUI? Let me open it. Everything is like there's really no space in between them. Everything is just like clumped up together. So padding gives it like space, adds like vertical padding between the widgets for better spacing. So let's explain what I'm trying to do. I'm creating a GUI by using Tkinter, tkinter.tk. TK is what we imported. Import Tkinter as TK. And then I'm specifying the size. What do I want the size of my geometry to be? And then I want to add a label by using label tk.label. That is how you get your label. tk.entry to get your entry, tk.button to get your button. And then I want my text. What text do I want displayed on the label? What do I want information do I want to get from the user? Then I enter that. And then label.pack, where we use label.pack here, we did entry.pack, we did button.pack. But now I want it to look nicer to my user. So I added padding. So padding equals to 10. It can be depending on how many information you want. You can adjust this based on what you want. So this is just a label. It does nothing. It's just to show the information of what I want my entry to be. So then I want to now collect information. I use the text entry widget. So tk.entry. And then I also set the padding. I want there to be 10 pixel space. And then I add a button, tk.button. That is the way to add tk.button, tk.entry, tk.label. You will see us use it multiple times when we start creating bigger graphic user interface, and also the button. And text, this is the text that I want to be on the button. But then since this is a button, I want it to do something. That's when you add command. When you want to get something, you add command and then your function name. And this function is what we created at the beginning. Name equals to entry.get. What is our entry? Entry is here. Whatever it's entered here, we want to get it. And then we now want to add a label. Label again to show the message, because we're not printing out the message in Jupyter Notebook. We want to print it out in our graphic user interface. So that's why we're using the label command rather than just the print command. So if I run this, we'll have a graphic user interface. You see it now looks better because of the vertical padding. And then when I write my name and click on submit, then we have the message because it's printed in the label. Remember, the label here was when we have enter your name. Now that is being replaced with the message that we wanted it to show. So this is just the basic. We talked about how you can add a text entry. There's so much more you can do with graphic user interface. And you will see as we continue to go on with the stuff that we'll be able to do. That's it for this video. Do not forget to like, to subscribe, to share, and to leave a comment. And the link to the notebook that we worked on is available in my GitHub. Link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you tomorrow.